A 26-year-old with a zest for life. Talk of being bold and cheerful. A lady that is not defined by her condition. A cerebral palsy advocate, better known as necessary noisemaker. A sassy girl that makes necessary noise.
I had an interesting childhood. Very nice because I had amazing parents. So every time I'm asked about my childhood, I thank my mom and dad, and I say if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be who I am today. It's not usually easy for parents, but now looking back, I thank God. I think for giving my mom and dad the grace to accept me as fast as they did. So with that, I think that's what made my childhood very special, because they accepted me and treated me just like any other child.
She suffered brain damage as a result of lack of oxygen at birth due to her mother's prolonged labor, a condition that has made Jerry have difficulty in walking. The condition has affected the movement of her legs and hands coordination as well as her speech. This condition, however, does not define who Marion Jerry is.
I am inclusion expert. I recently graduated from the African Nazarene University with a bachelor's in community development, and I am the necessary noisemaker for children and people with cerebral palsy. My mom had prolonged labor. So by the time I was born, I was already tired. So I lacked oxygen, and I didn't cry and I didn't breathe. And so I was in the incubator for a while. And that's when the doctors told my mom, you have a beautiful baby girl, but unfortunately, she acquired a brain damage called cerebral palsy.
It was not easy for her when her parents broke the news that she has cerebral palsy.
It was, I think, 12 years when I was around 11, 12. And you know, that's when now you're becoming to gain self-awareness. And I was always asking, why are people looking at me? You know, or why are people pointing at me and the other kids are running away from me? And that's when they told me, okay, now this is what is up. The way they told me, it was like, it's just another usual thing, you know? It's not a big deal. It was hard. You can't even explain it, but it was tough. Because I also didn't know what cerebral palsy was. And I also didn't understand it. And I would cry a lot of times, especially when I go to school, and small things like I can't run as fast as others can run, or I'm being punished for not finishing my notes, you know. Small things that would remind me I am not inadequate for the society. Now, those things would make me feel not enough. They would make me wish I didn't have cerebral palsy. I remember when I was a teenager, I used to ask God a lot of times, why me? Why would you look all over the world and pick me to have cerebral palsy? And I didn't want to have cerebral palsy. I actually used to ask him to take it away, and then one day my mom asked, okay, yeah, maybe why you? But then she was like, why not you? Yeah? And then I started to look at it from that perception of, yeah, maybe God knew what he was doing and actually gave me cerebral palsy and also gave me the strength to live with it, you know? So when I was a teenager, I didn't want to have cerebral palsy, but I think as I got to understand myself and I got to know my strong points, then I started to see it as a good thing, you know? So for anyone, even whether you have cerebral palsy or not, like it says, everyone has a good purpose. You have strong points. You have something you can do that no one else can do.
Encountering episodes that were discriminatory like this one.
I'm very independent. So, from high school, I could take a matatu from home, Kikuyu, to school. And so, one day I took a matatu and then I found some women. And in Kikuyu, they were saying, hi, what kind of mother is this? Who can let her child go on her own? You know? And they were asking me, where are you going? Do you know where you're going? Are you alone? Who let you go? And I felt so insulted because they don't know my mom and they don't know me and they don't know their story. So I think, people discriminate, I would say with a good heart sometimes, but I want them to see the person behind the disability, you know?
Maria Njeri, a lady living with different ability and living life to the fullest beyond cerebral palsy. And maybe I'll just borrow some of her words, that awareness plus inclusion plus basic dignity plus service equals to the world that I dream of.
Cerebral palsy, an incurable condition that is thought to be caused by brain damage during, before, or after birth.
Cerebral palsy, it is an unprogressive neurological disorder of movement that occurs mostly as a result of injury to the growing or developing brain. Yeah, cerebral palsy has got different types. It is categorized depends on which part of the brain has been affected. Also, cerebral palsy is categorized or divided depending on which side of the body has been affected. So we have so many types of cerebral palsy depending on the areas I've mentioned. Like we have the main one, we have spastic cerebral palsy. That is spastic in this case, it refers to those kids with the high muscle tone, stiff muscles. Then we have floppy cerebral palsy. Floppy, or these are kids with the extremely weak muscles. We have adenoid cerebral palsy. That's a type of cerebral palsy that has characters of uncoordinated movement. Then we also have mixed cerebral palsy. Now those are the types of cerebral palsy according to which side of the brain has been affected. But also have other types of cerebral palsy like hemiplegic cerebral palsy, quadriplegic. That is if one side of the body has been affected, then the other, or both sides. That is both the upper limbs and the lower limbs. And that's now when we refer to quadriplegic cerebral palsy. If the child has this kind of condition, he or she may delay some basic developmental developments. One being the head control. So in this case, if the child has cerebral palsy, we find that the head control of the child is kind of weak, not able to withstand the head. There is delay in standing. There is delay in sitting, walking, speech, and all that, and all those major developmental milestones. And in this case, depending on the severity of how the condition occurs, some kids will experience seizures. In this case, seizure is sudden conversion of the muscles, which has characters of epilepsy. And also, basically, when you know that the child has been born with cerebral, will eventually have cerebral palsy, because the condition mostly occurs when the mother is giving birth. That's now when we are looking at the causes of cerebral palsy, because under causes we have the postnatal causes, we have the perinatal causes, then we also have the prenatal causes of the cerebral palsy. So like most of the kids with cerebral palsy, you may find that the cause occurs during birth. Like you may find during birth, the mother may develop a complication like prolonged labor pain. And in this case, prolonged labor pain may be as a result of maybe the mother didn't realize that she is having another complications while she was pregnant. Then what happened in prolonged labor pain is that the child takes time, mother takes a lot of time because before she gives birth. So in this process, the child will come out while she or he is tired to the extent the child will not be able to cry immediately after birth. And we all know the importance of the child crying immediately after birth. That is to allow to open the lungs so that the oxygen can get the buses to the brain, and now facilitate the brain to start functioning its normal work. So you find that when the child lacks this oxygen at birth, a condition called birth asphyxia, that's lack of oxygen during birth, the child, you find that some part of the brain will have to die. And this part of the brain that will have died, they are the one that control the normal development of the child. Hence, the signs like delayed sitting, head, neck control, walking, and all that.
It is estimated that 3 in every 100 children in Kenya live with cerebral palsy, a condition that affects the ability to speak, walk, and control eye movements. Sometimes it can be accompanied by intellectual disability, deafness, and even blindness.
It's a condition that can affect any child due to lack of oxygen at birth. According to population-based studies around the world, the commonness of cerebral palsy ranges from 1.5 to more than 4 per 1,000 live births. This means that from the estimated 7.8 billion people in the world, there are 130 live births in a year, resulting in about 32 million children being affected with cerebral palsy globally.
There is no known cure for cerebral palsy yet. However, a number of preventable cases will be addressed if caregivers and those that are afflicted with cerebral palsy had access to better information, good medical cover, and tools.
Cerebral palsy, first, it's a condition, it's not a disease. It's not something that you will walk in the hospital, they'll diagnose, and then you'll be given some injection or some medicine, then after some time the child is okay. No. Since it's a condition, actually it's a long-term condition. In this case, it is manageable rather than treated. So basically, cerebral palsy is managed through medication, depending on the severity of the condition, because some kids have convulsion as a result of severe brain injuries. Then they need to undergo some medication for the anticonvulsants. But now the main thing for these kids is therapy, and in this case, therapy is involved in with various teams, rehabilitative teams, that is occupational therapist, physiotherapist, speech therapist, because first, injury to this brain usually affects the muscles of the body, which eventually leads to movement disorder. So what we usually do as occupational therapists, first, we assess the child, we diagnose the case, which type of cerebral palsy the child is suffering from or is having. Then we come up with the treatment approach. And in this case, remember I've told you this is the child who will delay in developmental milestones, such as sitting, talking, speech, walking, and all that. And in this case also, you find that if, even with the severity of the condition, the child may not acquire these developmental milestones in time. So in the process, the child may also have difficulty in ADLs, activities of daily living, which are the basics like toileting, feeding, and all that. So we as a therapist, we train this child so that despite a delayed milestone, but we train them in a way that they can acquire these delayed milestones, although it also depends on how regular is the therapy being done.
Therefore, early diagnosis of cerebral palsy helps, for the child can be subjected to therapy to enhance coordination of their limbs.
I was positioning the upper arm to just to normalize the tone and also to improve the jerome on the roller, to improve neck control.
There is those techniques that we use to reduce the spasticity, that is prolonged stretch or prolonged prolonged stretching. We can also use passive exercises. Passive exercises, that means like what you are saying, the child was, the therapist was trying to move the child, especially the elbow joint, so that we also increase the joint range of the motions. Since it is the muscle of the body that they are affected, we find that even the sitting position of this child is affected to the extent you may need to train the child on how to correctly position him or herself, that's positioning and handling. You also have to use the toys, because remember, the main activity of the child at this age of, let's say, 0 to 3 years is a lot of play. And the toys mostly also help the child in fine motor activities, now to reach and grasp and all that.
No parent is ever ready to learn that their child has cerebral palsy. Statistics indicates that 91% of caregivers for people living with cerebral palsy in Kenya are mothers.
Salma Chad nilijua kona cerebral palsy when she was 6 months. That time hakuwa na hold shingo, hakuwa na keti, and at that time mtoto anafaa kuwa ameketi na ana hold shingo vizuri. And she was not smiling, she was just there. So I went to the hospital. Nikawaambia mtoto ako hivi na aketi na hold shingo. That time ndio nilianza therapy. Na therapy huwa inasaidia sana. The more una concentrate na therapy, chenye umeambiwa ununue, unanunua. If you don't have, unaweza ambia the therapist hauna, unaweza fanya option B, Akikwambia option B, do it for your kid. Juu yeye ndio atakuwa kiongozi wako kesho. Ni yeye atakusaidia kesho. Unaweza kakujei panda ndege, lakini atakufanya upande siku moja. So kuwa na courage, amka, toka kwa hiyo comfort zone. Utoe mtoto afanywe therapy na ata improve. Kama Salma improve, hakuwa na hold shingo na anaketi saizi. She can say, "Mama, I give glory to God."
Most marriages are negatively affected by a diagnosis of cerebral palsy in a child. According to Douglas Misiku, this is due to lack of knowledge about the condition. There are a lot of myths associated with cerebral palsy.
Cerebral palsy is, I would say, one of the most misunderstood conditions in Kenya.
So, and because of lack of knowledge and either the parent doesn't know what caused the condition, there's this thing of maybe in ya kwenu, this is the cases from your family members, so there's that blame game. Then in the process of that blame game, you find that mostly the father thinks, you know, in ya kwenu, and since kwetu hatujaiona mtoto kama huyo, it's like you have to carry that burden on your own. That's why you find that we have a lot of single parents with these CP kids in the country, and it's only because of lack of awareness, but that is not the case. And I've talked about accepting. You as a father or as a mother, it is good you accept the condition of the child, and also seek the information. Find more about the causes, because the moment you know about the causes, you will not hear the stories of the parent or the friends and the relatives telling you about the causes. And also counseling helps a lot. Visit the counselor, do a lot of consultation. And you may just end up loving your child as he is and embracing the small changes that your child may be experiencing, and life will be okay.
The case wasn't different for Njeri.
I've been told so many things. I've been told I'm cursed. I've been told I need to go see a witch doctor. Even now, I've been told my parents must have done something to God. I've been told it's a punishment from my ancestors. They need to repent. Like, there are so many beliefs. And this, we are coming back to culture, you know, and the beliefs. But I keep on telling people we're in the 21st century. Some of these myths don't account for now.
In Kenya, there are few institutions able to provide specialized care and education for children with cerebral palsy.
Cerebral Palsy Society of Kenya is a charitable organization that is working towards improving the welfare of those that are afflicted with cerebral palsy.
It's an organization that deals with the children and adults born with a condition called cerebral palsy. The organization was started by parents of children who had this condition, so they decided to come up as one thing and start their center that can help their children in terms of therapy, socioeconomic welfare, and all that. One very important thing with this condition is you have to be patient. Patience is a very great thing when you have such a kid. And also the small changes. You see, like this a child who may even start to be able to sit at the age of 12. Embrace those small changes. Accept the changes, you see. When you accept that, you will not feel that kind of like losing hope and all that, because I know it's a journey of hope.
For those who have cerebral palsy, you know how God says, I formed thee in your mother's womb, and know you, and know all the plans I have for you, plans for good and not for harm. exactly. He made you. He made you with cerebral palsy, just like you are. And he's the only one with a good purpose for you. For mothers, I would want to encourage them. It's not an easy journey, but it's a journey of hope and a journey full of miracles, you know? So I'd, number one, want you to pat yourself on the shoulder for doing such a good job. I like saying this. If it wasn't for my mom and dad, I wouldn't be who I am today.
Wazazi wenye wameficha watoto na waambia watoke wa mingle with other parents. The moment ukitoka nje unapatanga hata yule mtoto wako unapata hata ni kama ana shida.
How do you act around other people? That's how you act around me, you know? Like, people sometimes are afraid of, or it's awkward. They don't know what to say to me, and they don't know how to say it to me. But in the end, like, I just say, how do you treat other people? That's how you treat us. How do you treat like respect and kindness? I think with awareness and then with encouraging interaction. No? Because I noticed when for example in university the kids that didn't know much about a person with cerebral palsy until one day they found me in their class, and with interaction, they get to be more familiar with a person. So I would say awareness, get to know cerebral palsy.
Children and persons afflicted with cerebral palsy have the same right and possess opportunities like every other person in the society. So let's give them support in every way possible. For it is said, nothing is impossible until it's done. For CAC TV, I'm Aida Munzati, and remember, your health matters.